Okay,
Howdy.
cool. Yeah, just quick introduction of who I am. I'm Zen Shapiro. I'm a paleoconservative, just like Andrew here. Some people refer to me as the pro-life steel man. I'm not sure if you've seen any of my debates online, but that's kind of what I'm known for. But just a quick question before we throw down the gauntlet, just about you, Vaush. I don't know if it was really covered at the beginning, but how do you define yourself politically, socially, economically, and who do you view as your greatest opponent in the political sphere?
Um, Libertarian Socialist, and I don't really think I have an opponent. I think there are ideas that I take great issue with, but in terms of like people fade, their ideas change. I try not to fixate that much on the individuals.
Hmm. And you largely rely or you live in the world of like subjectivism, where everything is in the eye of the beholder, kind of.
I'm a moral anti-realist, but I don't think it's subjective. I would apply my morals to other people. I would hold them to condemn them. I would condemn them if they didn't, abide by them.
Hmm. I gotcha. And yeah, so I did mention that I might throw down a gauntlet or two. Um, I saw a super chat that said, why do you tell the cultural conservatives to let the cultural issues go? You answered with a staunch Chad because I'm right. So what I
That
would
was
ask
pretty
you is,
staunchly Chad.
it was a staunch Chad answer. I'm fucking right. Okay.
I'm fucking right.
Well, the question I have is, would you be willing to defend that claim that you are right on the topic of abortion against me, Zen Shapiro, on the Crucible?
Generally I'm happy to accept things like that. I do try to stay away from abortion discussions because I feel like there's no way to move anyone's mind in it, right? At the end of the day, like, as I don't think that like a fetus or a zygote is a person and shouldn't be afforded moral rights. So, and there's no empirical evidence that could be thrown either way. You can talk about when heartbeats begin or whatever else, but I think that consciousness is an experiential thing, an emergent characteristic of involvement in the world. So I don't know if I could fairly say, I don't know if there's anything that could move me off of that. There's no science of consciousness after all.
Yeah, I mean, I think those would be some interesting talking points for you to bring forth, and I would be happy to combat them. But I mean, I'm just saying, you said you were right about the cultural, social issues. Abortion is one of those. So I don't want to see any excuses here. You would be willing to defend that, right?
Oh yeah, I'll defend the position. It's just not an empirical position. There's not evidence you could throw either way. You can make philosophical arguments in favor of one set or another, but at the end of the day, the idea of what is or is not a conscious person, to that point, it wouldn't be I think I'm right. It would be more I've decided that I am right, and that the political consequences of disagreeing with me outweigh the political consequences of agreeing with me. And we might as well just act as though, because at the end of the day, we're relying on evidence being pulled from a field that can't produce evidence. So send me an email. I can't
Yeah.
make any promises because the abortion debates in particular are difficult to handle sometimes in terms of
Well, I mean, you
like
find
where we
you
move
find
forward.
yeah, you find often that conservatives are a lot more interested in social issues, and liberals, leftists, and the like are a lot less interested in them. I would argue because the conservatives are right. But we're going to be diametrically opposed on that. I'm sure Andrew would be more than willing to host it. It would be good for everybody's
And
viewership.
even if Andrew didn't on the Crucible, all of these are, I think, good subjects to bring up with Vaush. I appreciate the calls. Then, was there anything
Wait,
you
one
want to
more
wrap
thing.
it up
One more
with?
thing.
Sure.
One more thing. For the chat, for the audience, they're begging for you to put the fingerless gloves back on. They really want to see it.
Oh God, how could I deny my fans? Here, I will say though, in terms of the ability to make empirical arguments for like cultural issues, it would make more sense then to talk about things upon which empiricism could be used, right? I mean, I'm sure you disagree with me on lots of things, not just abortion. Probably a lot on race issues, gender, sexuality, immigration, nationality, and a lot of those you can pull actual empirical data from. So, in terms of like the ability to meaningfully defend these talking points, there's a lot of room to cover. Abortion's just the subject I think that has the most subjective pretenses on both sides.
Well, I would argue it's one of the most foundational positions that people hold. Like, you can ask somebody, "Are you pro-life or pro-choice?" And based on their answer, you could probably determine what at least the majority of the rest of their political leanings are. And it's not going to be a guarantee, but usually, from what I've seen, that's the case. Like, pro-choicers are going to be liberal, pro-life is going to be conservative, and it goes down the line.
It seems
And
to, it seems to be becoming a little bit more nuanced, doesn't it? Like, for
I hope
instance,
not.
I've seen a lot of left wingers now who will say, no abortions before X amount of time. You know what I mean? This type of thing, or it's only okay up to X amount of time. So there does seem to be a bit of nuance there.
Yeah, I would agree. I
My-
mean, the pro-choice arguments all over the place, but
My
yeah.
experience has been, and you can think this is remarkably cynical if you like, but my experience has been, at least from what I feel, because you can never know with these things, but I feel like oftentimes conservatives' positions on abortion have a lot more to do with women and a lot more to do with the responsibility inherent to having sex with others than it does about like the moral status of a fetus or a zygote. Because sometimes I see these arguments that feel really inconsistent or weird if the priority is pro-life, but they make a lot of sense and they fit with a lot of other positions if it's just like, well, I think that if you're going to get knocked up, you'd better take care of that baby, you know? Which I don't, but nobody ever wants to argue that, of course, because that's a much weirder position to take.